My dad looked me in the eyes one day and said, "Who are you?" Like I was a total stranger. Me, his daughter. Let me just say this before I even start. If you have never seen a grown man forget his own child's name, you are lucky. Because I did. And I still get chills thinking about it. This happened. And to this day, I still don't fully understand how deep it went. Let me take you back. I was 17. My little brother, Toby, was 12. And my dad, he was everything. Like, legit a real one. The kind of dad who packed our lunches himself when mom died. Braided my hair once. Badly, but still. And would randomly dance in the kitchen to old school Nigerian music just to make us laugh. But everything changed when she came, my stepmother, or as I now call her, the woman who walked into our lives and turned everything upside down. Her name was Teresa, but everyone called her Mama Titi, even though, plot twist, we never met any Titi, not once, not even a photo, not a single mention besides the name. That was red flag number 1. But back then, we were just happy. Dad was smiling again, or so we thought. I remember the day he brought her home like it was yesterday. She was wearing this long green wrapper, her hair wrapped up in gele like someone's rich auntie from the village, and her eyes, sharp, calculating. You know that kind of gaze where it feels like someone is studying your soul? Yeah, that. She smiled at us, wide smile, and said, "Ah, these must be the children. Such fine children." But even at 17, something in me twitched. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. Like she didn't mean it. Like her smile was stuck on with tape. Her energy was off. But you know how it is. African families, you can't just vibe check your father's new girlfriend. So we kept quiet at first. Strange things started happening. At first, it was small things, like how Dad suddenly stopped eating the food I cooked. The same jollof he used to beg me to make. One day he said it tasted strange. Another day, he told my little brother, "Don't touch my things without asking." Even though Toby had literally picked up his own school shoes. And then he stopped calling me by my name. He would just say, "You," or "that girl." At first, I laughed it off. Thought maybe he was tired or stressed from work. But then came the night I will never forget. We had just had dinner. Well, they had. I wasn't allowed to eat with them anymore, apparently, and I was passing by the hallway to get water when I heard it. Dad's voice from the bedroom, low, like he was sleep talking, over and over like a chant. "I don't have children. I don't have children. I don't have children." I froze. My heart dropped. I knocked softly. No answer. I opened the door slightly and found him sitting upright on the bed, eyes open, mumbling. I said, "Daddy." He turned his head slowly, looked at me and said, "Who are you?" After my dad looked me dead in the face and asked, "Who are you?" I just stood there, frozen. I don't even remember if I blinked. My mouth was open. My brain was loading. Like, "Excuse me, who am I?" "Sir, I was literally in your will like 6 months ago." I couldn't even speak. I just backed out the room like a scene from a horror movie. Slowly, quietly, like if I moved too fast, he would attack me or something. And from that night on, he treated me like a stranger. Not even like a bad daughter, just a random person in his house. The next few weeks were a blur. My brother started wetting the bed again. And no, I'm not saying that to embarrass him. The boy was traumatized. Imagine your dad coming home and walking past you like you don't exist. He would greet him, "Good evening, Daddy." And this man would just walk past like literal air. We tried to talk to him together once. Like, maybe if we just reminded him of things, family trips, birthdays, old jokes, maybe he would snap out of it. Toby was like, "Daddy, Remember when we all went to the beach and you lost your slippers in the water? My dad looked up from his newspaper and said, I have never been to the beach with you, ever. You all, that was the first time I cried in front of my brother. Now listen, I'm not a sneaky person by nature. Have never been one to snoop, even when I wanted to. But something in my spirit, you know when your chest just starts vibrating and you don't know why? Yeah, that day, something in me said, go look. So I waited till she went to the market. She always left at the same time every Thursday. I had about 40 minutes max. I went into her room, barefoot, like I was entering a shrine. My hands were shaking. At first, I saw nothing. Clothes, makeup bag, wigs, a perfume I always smelled of her. That strong one that smelled like money and fear. But then I opened her wardrobe, and in the corner, taped behind a loose wooden panel, I found a small red pouch. It was tied shut, like tight, almost like it was sewn closed. My fingers were tingling. My skin felt cold. I opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper with my full name. Not just first and last. Full. A few tiny bones. Chicken, dove, who knows? Something that looked like dried leaves or bark. And then a photograph. My dad's photo. Folded twice. Tied with string. Wax stamped. Let me pause right here and say something clearly. This was not normal. I'm not just the type to scream juju over every little thing. But this was textbook spiritual manipulation. I didn't know what to do. My hands were sweating. My legs were numb. My ears were ringing. So I ran. My mom's younger sister, Auntie Bosse, lived like 2 streets away. I called her immediately. I didn't even bother texting. I called like my life depended on it. Because honestly, it did. She answered, what's wrong? Why are you breathing like that? I just said, please, come now. It's Mama Titi. She arrived in 25 minutes. Slippers half worn, handbag swinging, wrapper flying in the wind. The moment I showed her the pouch, she looked at it and said, ah, she has done it. I said, done what? She said, your father has been tied. She has used something to erase you from his spirit. I said, what? She nodded calmly, like she had seen it before. This is why he doesn't remember you. She has blocked his memory. She's feeding him something, washing him with something, maybe even sleeping with something under the bed. This is deep. We prayed. We fasted. We tried to break it. We even poured anointing oil on every corner of the house. My auntie brought this big Bible, not even the regular size, the kind they use in church for deliverance. But whatever spell was on my dad was holding tight. Because the very next day, he came home from work, walked into the house, looked at me and Toby sitting in the living room and said, why are you people still here? We looked at each other, confused. Toby, bless his heart, said, Daddy, this is our house. This man didn't even blink. No, this is my house. And if you don't leave by tomorrow morning, I'll get the police involved. I thought it was a bluff until the next morning, 2 uniformed officers showed up at the gate. Now I'm standing there, 17 years old, in my pajamas, no makeup, hair in a head tie, trying to explain to 2 police officers that this very man who raised me, who took me to school, who bought me my first phone, is kicking me out of my own mother's house. One of the officers pulled my aunt aside and said, Madam, are you sure this man is mentally okay? He says these children are strangers, oh. Strangers. They let us stay that day. Thank God for the one officer with sense. But they warned us, by law, if the property is in his name and he wants you out, we can't stop him next time. So that night, we packed. I cried in silence so Toby wouldn't hear me. He was already shaking like a leaf. My aunt took us in, no questions asked. God bless her forever. But that wasn't even the worst part. So we had this dog, Bruno. Bruno was like our sibling. He grew up with us. Big, protective, loyal. He knew us like scent. Would bark at strangers, but follow us around like a bodyguard. When she moved in, Bruno used to growl at her non-stop. This dog did not like that woman. Then suddenly, one day, he went quiet. We woke up, and Bruno, who normally barks at 6 a.m. for breakfast, was gone. We searched everywhere. My dad just said, the dog was old. I got rid of it. No sadness, no explanation, nothing. Tell me how a man who used to feed that dog with his own hand just stopped caring. A few months after we left, I got a DM on Facebook. Random woman, no profile picture, no mutual friends. Her message said, "Are you Teresa's stepdaughter?" I hesitated, typed slowly, "Yes." Why? She replied, "She did the same thing to my brother, and we haven't seen him in 5 years. What?" We started digging. Turns out, Mama Titi, Teresa, wasn't even her real name. She had used 5 different names, lived in 3 different states, and had a pattern. She would find widowers with kids, charm them, move in, separate them from their families, take over, disappear. Sometimes with the property, sometimes with cash, always without a trace. She was a spiritual scammer. After we left, my dad changed his number, blocked me and Toby on everything, took down all family photos. We only saw him once in passing, on the street. We waved. He crossed to the other side. So, after we got kicked out, my dad stopped existing to me. Not even in a petty way. I mean it literally. I had to tell myself, that man is gone. Bury the memory. Because how do you explain your own father looking you in the eye and not recognizing your voice? How do you heal from that? I didn't speak to him for a whole year. He was living in the house my mother built, sleeping beside a woman who poisoned his soul and burned his family to the ground, metaphorically and spiritually. Spiritual wickedness has an expiry date. It started as whispers, first, from the neighbors. Auntie Bosse got a call one Sunday from Sister Felicia across the road. You know the kind of auntie that sees everything from her veranda while pretending to water plants. She said, "Your brother-in-law is not okay. Oh. He was outside last night, talking to himself. At first, we thought maybe he was just stressed. Maybe the guilt was finally catching up. But then, the calls kept coming. He was seen walking barefoot in his suit. He forgot where he parked his own car. He was buying food twice, then forgetting he already ate. And the kicker, he asked someone if they knew his daughter's name. The same daughter he once swore didn't exist. Yeah, that part broke me a little. One day, the neighbors saw Mama Titi step out in her usual silk wrapper. Next day, gone. No car, no goodbye, not even a packed bag. Vanished. My dad tried calling her. Her number was disconnected. He went to her supposed family's place in Ibadan. Turns out, they hadn't seen her. No one knew where she came from. No one knew where she went. This woman really moved through lives like a shadow, leaving chaos behind like perfume. With her gone, the spell started to crack. But instead of healing, my dad fell apart. He started calling out names in his sleep. Mine, Toby's, my mother's. Sometimes he would sit on the couch for hours, just holding one of her old shoes like it was a memory he couldn't reach. Then one day, we got the call. He had collapsed in the kitchen, alone. We went to see him in the hospital. Me, Toby, Auntie Bosse. We walked in. He was lying there, looking 20 years older. We barely recognized him. The strong man who used to lift Toby on his shoulders now looks like a forgotten ancestor. When he saw us, he broke down like full sobbing. He reached for my hand and said, "My daughter, my child, I don't know what came over me. Please forgive me." Toby started crying. Auntie Bosse was already praying in tongues. I just stood there because I didn't know what to feel. This was the man who said I was a stranger, the man who erased us, let us walk out with nothing, watched us leave, called the police, and now he remembered. He told us everything. He said he used to hear her whispering things in Yoruba when she thought he was asleep. She bathed him with a special soap every Friday. She made him drink cleansing tea that always made him dizzy afterward. He would wake up some days with no memory of what happened the day before. And when he tried to confront her, she would cry and sing and dance. Yes, dance like a trance. And every time she did, he would forget what he was angry about. Guys, this was not just manipulation. This was spiritual warfare. After he was discharged, he asked if he could move in with us. My auntie agreed. I didn't. I told him, "Daddy, I love you, but I need time. I need space. You didn't just forget us. You abandoned us. You broke us. You chose her over your blood. That doesn't heal in a day." He nodded, tears in his eyes, said, "I know. I will earn it back." And to his credit, he's been trying. He cooks now, calls every Sunday, shows up for Toby's events, reads book on spiritual warfare like his life depends on it. Because honestly, it does. But things will never be exactly the same. And that's the price of letting darkness in. So fast forward, it's been a few years now since it all happened. Since the spell broke. Since my dad begged for forgiveness. Since she disappeared into the shadows like the villain in a Nollywood movie that never got a sequel. And you would think that after all that, after the tears, the prayers, the spiritual attacks and full-on heartbreak, I would be able to say, we are fine now. But the truth, healing isn't a straight line. Let me be real. Forgiving my father was one of the hardest things I have ever done. Because he didn't just forget us. He chose to. Yes, she bewitched him. Yes, she manipulated him. Yes, she worked spiritual things we probably don't even understand to this day. But there were moments, brief ones, when he knew something was off. When his eyes flickered like he was trying to remember. When Toby cried and called him daddy, and his hand twitched like muscle memory. But he let it slide. He let her silence those parts of him. He let the spirits win. And even though he's back now, even though he's trying, there's a crack in our family that will never fully seal. This is what I learned that you need to hear too. Because this story isn't just about me. Energy is real. You know when someone walks into a room and your spirit just jumps? Trust it. You don't need proof to validate your intuition. From day one, I knew something was off about her. But I let politeness mute my inner voice. Never again. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. I held on to bitterness for so long. And all it did was make me hard, tired, angry, exhausted. The moment I forgave my father, not for him, but for myself, my body literally felt lighter. Forgiveness doesn't mean we are cool. It means I am free. So you'll be wondering what happened to her. Nobody knows. She vanished like smoke. Some say she went back to her village. Others say she changed her name again and moved to another state. Me? I think the universe is dealing with her. And honestly, that's not my business anymore. What would you do if your parents turned their back on you under spiritual influence, could you forgive them? Would you take them back? Have you ever met someone whose energy felt dangerously off? Tell me in the comments because I want to know, for real. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more interesting stories.